What does it take to win a $1 million race at Parx? Is it early speed, class, a perfect trip from the gate? In this video, I am breaking down the Grade 1 Pennsylvania Derby. 10 top 3-year-olds going 1.1 miles on the dirt for a $1 million purse. And I'm gonna give you 7 historical angles that have helped find the winner of this race and also evaluate each of the contenders this year according to those angles. Whether you're betting or you just want to look oh so smart on race day, this is the edge you've been looking for. Facts and figures are going to give you the winning edge. I give you the stats, you make the picks. Hi, it's Maura from Trifecta and a little bit extra. I have been an avid horse racing handicapper for the past 16 years. And here on my channel, I don't give you picks. I teach you how to find your winner. And today I'm covering the Grade 1 Pennsylvania Derby, race 14 on Saturday's card at Parx. First, let me start by saying this. Horse betting is not legal in every state. So if you're betting, make sure it's legal. Now, last year, the Pennsylvania Derby was really special to me. I was part of the My Racehorse ownership group that had ownership in Seize the Gray. And Seize the Gray came to Parx for the Pennsylvania Derby. And not only did he come, he conquered by going gate to wire. Now, if you ask my family, when I'm watching horse racing, I get a little crazy and I'm screaming at the TV, and you can imagine how much I was screaming that day. And my dog, Lulu, she loves to bark and attack me. And oh yeah, she was going crazy too because that was an incredible day. Now, if you're interested in syndication or how I even got involved with ownership, drop me a comment below or find me at www.trifectaandextra.com and I will answer your questions. Now, here's the interesting thing. When I always do these angles, I always look at running style. Does the track favor like gate to wire leaders, stalkers, or even closers? And I was shocked to learn that this race, there are lots of gate to wire winners, and that's where we're going to get started, the angles. Now, I went back and I looked at the last 25 runnings of the Pennsylvania Derby, and I found 7 key statistics that we can use when narrowing down these 10 contenders. And the first, as I mentioned, is running style. 10 of the last 25 winners went gate to wire. That is an astonishing 40%. Now, I know 40% doesn't seem high, but trust me, I've been looking at races like this for a long time, and that is a high statistic for just gate to wire. Now, you add in horses that also want to be near that leader, let's say 2 lengths from the leader at the half pole, that is another 20%. Doesn't mean that a horse can't come from mid-pack or closing. We have 10 of those 25 that did just that, but this is a nugget of information that we can use when we're narrowing down the 10 contenders. So you look at our 10 contenders, and what do we find? A lot of them, based on their last 3 to 4 races, they want to be up or near or even on the lead. That is going to set up for a very interesting race. Who wants to be in that lead pack? So Sandy, Altobelli, Goal Runner, Gosger, Baeza, and Magnitude and Moplex, they're going to want to be on the lead. Oh, and you could add David of Athens if he runs a race like his last race. I mean, gosh, do we have any horses left here? When there are this many horses that want to be in that lead pack, this is what happens. It sets up for a very fast-paced race. They are pushing each other, and that means it could be fast-paced, and they can really run out of steam or energy and set up for a horse that has the strong late pace. So based on running style, there are a couple different scenarios that I'm seeing here. One, Magnitude can get to the lead and control the pace. Well, let's see if he can control the pace because you have all these other runners up front. But if he could get to the lead and control the pace, it can be like a seize the gray moment. The other thing that could happen is with it being a very fast paced race, it could set up for the horse that has that best late kick. And that is Baeza. Now, I said Baeza likes to be on or near the lead. Well, he likes to be near the lead, but he has the best late pace. The second angle is class, and what I mean by that is graded stakes experience. It just means they've been competing at the highest level. And that makes sense here because this is a grade 1 race. Looking at the past 25 winners, 84% had graded stakes experience before they went into the Pennsylvania Derby. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean a win. Oh no, only 14 had the win. When we look at today's contenders, what we see is only 3 do not have graded stakes experience. And those 3 would be So Sandy, Altobelli, and David of Athens. And of those that have the graded stakes experience, 3 have a win. And those 3 are Magnitude, Gosger, and Moplex. The third angle is very similar, and that is distance experience. So, have they run a mile and an eighth or longer? 21 out of the last 25, 84%, have distance experience, but again, a win is not necessary. Only 12 had a win at this longer distance before winning this race. All but 3 of today's horses have the experience at a mile and an eighth or longer. The 3 that don't are Altobelli, David of Athens, and Big Truzz. And for those that have run the longer distance and won, we have 3: So Sandy, Magnitude, and Moplex. The fourth angle, maybe not as strong, but still important, and that is form. And what I mean by that is, how did they prep? Did they prep in a graded stakes race? And if they didn't prep in a graded stakes race, did they win or place in their prep race? 17 of the past 25 winners prepped in a graded stakes race. Horses that don't meet either of these 2 angles in today's race are Altobelli and Happily Delusional. So Sandy, David of Athens, and Big Truzz, they did not prep in a graded stakes race, but won or placed in their prep race. Now, the fifth angle is going to be post position. Outer posts have a really hard time winning this race because of the ground loss and the fact that they may get hung wide going around that first turn. So you really want to upgrade horses between post position 1 and post position 5. Those post positions win 68% of the time. The sixth angle is trainer. Now, if your name is Bob Baffert, you may move to the front of the line. Bob Baffert has won 4 in the past 25 years, and he brings a horse today, and that is goal-oriented. And finally, the last angle, well, hey, this is dirt racing in the US. Speed, speed, speed. Look for top speed. Oh, and if you wanted to know how often favorites win, they win 50% of the time. Let's put it all together and see how our contenders do. Now, the horses that really stand out are this: Magnitude. He has everything but the Bob Baffert effect. Goal-oriented. Has all the angles except he's not in post position 1 through 5, but he is in post position 6, so you want to maybe give him that angle. Baeza and Gosger also stand out. They're going to be challenged by those outside post positions. Well, maybe not Baeza if you saw his Kentucky Derby run, but they also don't have the Bob Baffert effect. And now Moplex and So Sandy seem to be very high on the number of angles hit, but they're missing that critical speed angle, and they're going to have to improve greatly to see the winner circle. Now we're going to go through the preview of each horses, and this is going to be really important because what I just presented to you are just stats. You really have to put the stats in context or you may miss out on something. So stay tuned. Each horse has a story, and the story speaks volumes. The number 1 horse is So Sandy. Trained by Cherie DeVaux, he'll be ridden by Kendrick Carmouche. 7 starts, 2 wins, and a place. He has gone this distance twice with a win and a place, so that means never out of the exacta. And those were his last 2 races. The win came in June at Churchill Downs in an allowance optional claimer. So Sandy, he stalked the leader. Now he bumped with his rival a bit in the stretch, but he won by 2 lengths and got a 92 buyer. The next race was in July at Saratoga, the Curlin Stakes. Again, bumped with the leader in the stretch, Chancer McPatrick. Got a short lead, but then lost it by a head with a 94 buyer. Now, there are some things that I see going against him here. And the first thing is the fact he has yet to crack the triple-digit buyer code. And there are horses in this race that have done so. Second, I don't like the fact that he doesn't have graded stakes experience. I also don't really love the rail for him. Now, he likes to be near the lead, and I don't know if he's going to have the speed to get out of that gate, especially with all the other runners that are to his right. I also really don't like the mistakes that he made in the stretch, a little bit green bumping around there with all the leaders. But let me point out some things to you that he has going for him. First, he's been improving in his 4 races, especially his final 2, and he can improve those buyer figures. He's a 3-year-old. They can improve by leaps and bounds. Now, I get all that, but for me, honestly, I like some other horses more. So for me personally, I am not hopelessly devoted to So Sandy. The number 2 horse is Altobelli. Trained by James Nicholson Jr., he'll be ridden by Angel Castillo. Now, this is the most experienced horse in the field. 15 starts and 4 wins, but 3 of those 4 wins on the synthetic, not on the dirt. Although he has all the experience in the field, it's not really the experience I'm looking for. No graded stakes experience. No distance races at 1.125 miles or longer. Did not prep in a graded stakes race, and in the race he was in, he came in 6th. Also, he's lacking top speed. Altobelli may have beautiful height, as his name suggests, but he's not really high on my list of horses that can win the Pennsylvania Derby. The number 3 horse has almost all the angles except for trainer, and that is Magnitude. He's ready to shake the earth in Pennsylvania. Trained by Steve Asmussen, he'll be ridden by Ben Curtis, who has been on him for his last 3 starts. 9 starts with 4 wins, and that means almost half of the time, winner's circle, baby. 1 place and 1 show. Now, he's gone 1.8 miles or longer 2 times. The first time was in February at the G2 Risen Star. He was on the Kentucky Derby Trail at the fairgrounds. And in a field of 12, he goes gate to wire and wins. Oh, and by the way, not only did he win, he won by a whopping 9 lengths. That's domination, and earned a 108 buyer, top in today's field. Now, 140 days later, after healing from an ankle chip and completely missing all the Triple Crown races, he shows up in the Iowa Derby, 1.16 miles on a good track. Not a graded stakes race, but gate to wire winner, and again dominates 9.25 lengths and a 105 buyer. Now, I do want to point this out. On that day, he ran on Butte. Butte's not allowed everywhere. What is Butte? A non-steroid anti-inflammatory, so it helps relieve pain and inflammation. Now, I don't say this because he had performance enhancement. I don't even know why he needed it, but just like Lasix, it's reported in your program, and so you need to call that out. Now, the last time we saw him was in the G1 Travers at Saratoga, going a mile and a quarter. The Travers is called the Midsummer's Derby because it attracts top 3-year-olds. And this year, we got the top of 3-year-olds, Sovereignty, king of the Kentucky Derby and the Belmont. Nobody was winning against Sovereignty that day. Magnitude, he tried to go out strong, gets to the lead. This horse loves the lead, but he weakens and finishes 20 lengths behind in third. Ouch. 87 Beyer. Ouch. What was going on with Magnitude that day? Here, he is checking off all the angles except for trainer. He's getting back to a distance that he likes, not the longer distance at Saratoga. We know that this race favors gate to wire winners, and Magnitude may get to the front and never look back. But there's going to be some questions like, what happened at Saratoga? Was it the distance? Was it the track? Can Magnitude actually control the pace? He's got a lot of horses that are going to want to be near the lead with him. Will he have an earth-shaking performance like we saw in the Risen Star? I just don't know. For me, he's got to stay a top contender, but due to all of these questions, I'm going to be adding a few more to that top contender list. Now, if you are finding this information useful, please do me a favor and hit that like button and also subscribe. If you subscribe, you will get premium content like this for the Breeders' Cup and also leading up to and including the Kentucky Derby and all the Triple Crown races. Also consider hitting that hype button. The hype button is a new button. You should find it near the like button. And what that does is it gives small channels like me some points, and those points help YouTube push me to audiences just like you so that they can find me. So like, subscribe, hype, and we are moving on to that next contender. The number 4 horse is David of Athens. Trained by Brendan Walsh, he'll be ridden by Tyler Gaffalione. And this dynamic duo, they have a 20% win rate. This is the most lightly raced horse in the field, which can be both good and bad. Bad meaning he's not really tested like some of the other runners, but good meaning there could be some upside here. 3 starts and 2 wins. He wins his maiden race last October at Keeneland, a 6-furlong race, 86 Beyer. Not only did he win against a field of 12, who did he beat that day? Patch Adams, a recent Grade 1 winner. Went on to win the G1 Whitty Stevens and the G1 H. Allen Jerkins, both 7-furlong races. Now, we don't see him for 253 days. When he comes back in June in a 6.5-furlong allowance race in a field of 12, all he could really do was get 6, but he goes to Ellis a month later, 1 mile on a good track, and man, did he romp. Gate to wire, wins by 7 lengths. Now, Brendan Walsh Racing has said that, hey, they have been always high on this Colt and holding him in high regard. So if I look at the angles, he's a toss, right? I mean, no graded stakes races, no distance, no top speed, more of a mid-pack runner. Well, maybe for the win pool, but personally, I wouldn't sleep on him for underneath. He's by Nyquist, so he should be able to get this distance. He is still developing and has really shown flashes of talent and 2 recent bullet workouts, one going 5 furlongs, 59 and change. The number 5 horse is Happily Delusional, which could describe me in a few days. Trained by Louis Linder Jr., he'll be ridden by Paco Lopez. 11 starts, but only 1 win and 5 places. His maiden win was here at Parx. After trying 4 times, he finally breaks his maiden, which means win for the very first time, and that was in a 1.70 mile race. Now, this is the local horse with Parx experience. And sometimes when you handicap races, you're like, hey, they have experience at the track. They must have an edge. How many winners in the last 25 years of the Pennsylvania Derby had experience at Parx prior to the Pennsylvania Derby? None. Zero. This horse doesn't meet most of the angles. He does have a graded stakes experience, the G3 Peter Pan, but in a field of 9, finished 7th. He's raced at a 1.125 distance twice, but never hit the board. Top buyer is only an 80. Happily Delusional is not top on my win list. We are moving on to the number 6 horse, and that is Bob Baffert's Goal Oriented, who'll be ridden by Irad Ortiz Jr. Now, alongside Magnitude, this horse meets almost all of the angles. The only angle he's not getting is post position 1 through 5, but hey, this is post position 6, so not too far on the outside. 4 starts, 2 wins, and a show. Now, he's only got 4 starts. That means he's got some upside. This horse has won his very first 2 races and then goes into the Preakness. That is a tall order for any horse. And if you don't recall what happened to Goal Oriented, well, journalism. Journalism happened to Goal Oriented. Journalism in the Preakness made his own daylight between Goal Oriented and Clever Again. So he gets bumped, he weakens, and he finishes 4th with an 89 buyer, behind Journalism, who won, and Gosger, who came in 2nd. And oh, by the way, Gosger is in this race. His last race was the G1 Haskell in July. Again, meets up with Journalism and Gosger. Now, he's breaking from the outermost gate. He's got a good break. He gets up to 2nd, kind of falls behind the 3rd, and around the turn, he is going head to head, dueling with Gosger down the stretch. Now, Journalism, he had the momentum, and he won. And Gosger got 2nd by a head bob. And Goal Oriented comes in 3rd with a 101 buyer. So Gosger has bested him twice. But today, he's got 2 months of rest. He's got a better post position than he did in the Haskell and a better post position than Gosger. And he's got that Bob Baffert kind of winning magic touch for this race. Has to be considered a top contender. Now, before we move on, do me a favor. Drop me a comment. Tell me, who do you really like in this race? I love the community. I love the comments. Y'all know I always try to answer back. So drop me that comment. And if you're liking the information, hit that like button and hit subscribe. The number 7 horse is Big Truzz. Trained by Brian Lynch, he'll be ridden by Javier Castellano. 5 starts, 2 wins, 1 place and 1 show. 4 times of the 5 on the board. Now the angles, a bit light. He does miss out on some things like that leading type running style, the distance experience, the fact he's not in post position 1 through 5, and the trainer. His 2 wins came in his very first race, a 6.5 furlong maiden race, and his last race, the Ellis Park Derby, a mile, where he won by a whopping 7 lengths. And in that race, he was very close to the leader, only a length from the leader at the half pole. He stalked, he pounced, he earned a 100 buyer, which is strong enough to compete with Baeza, Gosger, and Goal Oriented. So make sure you are giving him a look. Now, he does miss out on the distance angle. The longest he won at was a mile, and the longest he's run at is a 1.16 miles. But he is by my favorite sire, Justify, which would suggest he could get that longer distance. His best stakes race was the G1 Woody Stevens, going 7 furlongs on a muddy Saratoga track, and he finished 3rd behind Patch Adams and Madacat Road, so none too shabby there. He would really need to improve. He is stretching out at the distance. But if you believe in that last race, he was putting it all together. Man, you may want to give him a look, especially for underneath. The number 8 horse is Baeza. Trained by John Sheriff, he'll be ridden by Hector Berrios. Now, Hector Berrios rode him in his last race, the Jim Dandy, and 3 races prior. This horse has 7 starts, 1 win, 3 places, and 2 shows. So 6 out of the 7 times on the board. Now, with only 1 win, why is he our favorite? Well, you only have to look to the company that he's been keeping. In the Santa Anita Derby, this distance, he came into a very close second to Journalism. Then he gets into the Kentucky Derby. Outermost Gate surges to get third, finishes third behind Sovereignty and Journalism, and only lost to Journalism by a neck. Then he goes into the Belmont. Again, finishes third behind Sovereignty and Journalism. I'm seeing a pattern here. Then he enters the G2 Jim Dandy at Saratoga, a key prep race for this race. Also, this distance. And who does he come in second to? Sovereignty, of course, Sovereignty, but it was only by a length. I mean, if Sovereignty and Journalism didn't exist, this horse would have won 2 of the Triple Crown races. And oh, by the way, triple-digit buyers in his last 4 races. So top speed. Now, he's got all the angles except for the Bob Baffert effect and the fact he's got to overcome one of these outer post positions. But hey, did you see what he did in the Kentucky Derby? Now, I have liked this horse so many times, and finally I'm getting him in a race without Sovereignty and Journalism. And let me just call this out. He is a half-brother to the 2023 Kentucky Derby winner, Mage, and the 2024 Belmont winner, Dornick. Baeza may be buzzing to the winner's circle on Saturday. Top contender. The number 9 horse is Gosger, another Brendan Walsh trainee. He'll be ridden by Luis Saez. 5 starts, 2 wins, and 3 places, always in the exacta. Now, his last 2 races, they were the best. He was in the G1 Preakness, and it looked like he was just heading to the winner's circle. But Journalism had another story to write. He splits foes, he gains some momentum pounding down the stretch, and wins ahead of Gosger by a half a length. But Gosger ended up getting second and a 97 buyer. Then he meets up with Journalism again in the G1 Haskell. Now, in that race, he had to battle with Goal Oriented, who is in this race, a duel down the stretch. And again, Journalism gets that momentum, gets the win, and Gosger ekes out a second over Goal Oriented and gets a 101 buyer. Now, he doesn't have Journalism here, but Baeza is saying the same thing, and he's got Baeza, and I think Goal Oriented wants to turn the tables. Gosger may be disadvantaged with this outside post position, but I see a bullet workout. I see his performances, and me personally, I would consider him a top contender. The number 10 horse is Moplex. Moplex is trained by Jeremiah Engelhardt and will be ridden by Joseph Ramos. 9 starts, 5 wins. That's impressive. 1 place and 2 shows, so 8 of the 9 times on the board. That is also really impressive. Now, this horse gets all of the angles except for the Bob Baffert effect, the outside post, and a critical angle of speed. This horse has 9 starts, and the top speed is only a 96. But Mora, these are 3-year-olds, right? They can improve. Yes, I get that, and I love my Mo horses, but he's going to need that improvement and overcome the outside post. That is a tall order to ask. But let's look at his last race. A key prep race for this race, the G2 Jim Dandy. Going this distance, he weakened and came in 4th. I don't like to see that either. I don't like to see weakened. But now on the flip side, the race prior, the G3 Ohio Derby, also this distance, he won by 2, driving. So he's going to need to bring that A game, also improve and overcome the outside post. Again, a tall order to ask. Unfortunately, Moplex for me personally is not a top contender. Now it's your turn. Drop me a comment below. Tell me, who do you like for the Pennsylvania Derby? Hit like and hit subscribe. I am moving on to Derby preps and Breeders' Cup. Also, if you really enjoyed the video, consider hyping. I hope you all find your winner on Saturday. Cheers.